Welcome, one and all, to session 6 of Fallen Solo. Last we left off, Samuel, along with Gaius and Salazar, have found a cave or a ruin of some sort, wherein they believe that the treasure that Lord Vlade, as well as the Doctor, have been trying to find, and that the Dead Knight is actually trying to find as well. I have a few questions about this. My first question will be, what kind of ruin is this? Is this a natural cave of some sort, or is it like a man-made structure, like a catacomb or something? So let's roll on that. So 50-50. Is it man-made? That will be a 16, that will be a yes. In that case, I'm going to say that they come across a catacomb of some kind. The three arrive through the forest at this kind of strange looking structure. As I said, it's covered in kind of like brambles and thorns and all these woods, and it's kind of hard to spot. It's kind of like camouflaged a little bit. There's tons of brush around it, and maybe even the outside looks a little bit mossy. So our three adventurers basically find themselves at the entrance to this place. And they're not sure about whether the Dead Knight is in there or not, but unfortunately the treasure inside is much too precious to just be ignored. They forge on ahead, knowing that they may be trespassing on holy ground. So my next question will be whether the Dead Knight is actually inside this catacomb or not. I think as they walk through, they get this feeling of dread, but that's perfectly natural. It is a catacomb after all. What I'm gonna say is this. We are going to be using the campaign notebook to generate our dungeon. There are a bunch of dungeon geomorphs here, as well as some information and tables, but also there is this space for encounters. What I'm gonna say is that if they encounter an enemy and they roll a 1 to 2, they are going to encounter the Dead Knight. So hopefully they don't get unlucky and are able to get through this unharmed. For the other encounters, let's just roll for it. So actually let's roll a team. What is the dungeon theme? Let's see here. There's going to be a 1. That's criminal. Okay, so maybe there are bandits somewhere inside this ruins, and I'm just gonna say they've maybe made part of it their hideout, something. So I'm gonna give that 3 slots there. I don't think the bandits have any idea of the treasure. They might, I don't know. But this is basically their hideout, and they might not know of the deeper occult treasures that this place has. Let's actually roll for one more theme. Why not? We got a 4, which is infested. So I think that we're gonna say that there's also maybe some giant rats around here. So yeah, let's actually take a look at the bestiary here. There's a giant rat. Maybe we could also say that there's a giant flea spider, maybe lurking deep within. And one more. I just realized that they call them rogues, not bandits. So I'm actually going to erase that. Gotta be accurate. You know what, I was thinking of making 7 the giant rat, but how about we make 7 the giant flea spider, and we make 8 a special enemy that we have to generate out ourselves. So there is a making a creature section here, and we haven't gotten a chance to use that yet, so we're just going to say rare creature, like so. There we go, we're ready. So as our 3 intrepid adventurers walk down the stairs, what do they find at the entrance of this catacomb? So these are the entrances. We're just going to roll a straight up a d8, and that's going to be a 5. So they are going to get this room. There is a dungeon sheet here, but just so I don't have to flip around too much, I'm actually going to draw, I think, on the whiteboard that I have. Gonna have to erase this off first, and there we go. So we got 5. As they walk down the stairs, the staircase kind of narrows down a bit, and they find themselves looking at some kind of room with an exit out towards the right. Okay, so every time we do a turn in the dungeon, we're going to roll the dungeon die. So let's just roll a d8 there and see what we find in the first room. We get a 6, which is a passive encounter. Passive encounter. So there's that, and we're gonna roll it again. There's going to be an 8, community. Community. Well, we've already decided that this was going to be a hideout of rogues. Community implies that there are multiple, but they might not be immediately hostile towards us. Let's roll on the reactions for NPCs here. So we're gonna see what's their reaction to us initially. 2, that's going to be helpful. Helpful rogues? I'm not gonna say that they're helpful. I'm gonna say that they're more cautious than anything. Maybe they think we're the actual proprietors of this place. And how many of them are there? I'm gonna say there's gonna be a D4. One of them. Okay, that explains why they're being helpful. They're more fearful of us than anything. They see 3 of us coming down here armed to the teeth, and they're helpful in that they don't want to get their head chopped off. So we find ourselves face to face with some kind of rogue. What kind of information can he tell us about this place, maybe? What they will immediately want to know is whether the Dead Knight is here or not. So firstly, does this rogue know? So that's gonna be a 50-50, I think. The Dead Knight might have come here without their knowledge, or stealthily. He does know. So I think he's been keeping guard here. He was maybe stationed here against his will to kind of keep guard on this catacomb, make sure that outsiders don't come in, and he is kind of doing a bad job at that now. But they don't assume there to be a lot of people around these parts, so he's mostly there in case a lone person wanders in by accident and to chase them out. So he will actually know whether the Dead Knight has been here. So has he? We're gonna say that's likely, so we're gonna take the higher one, and that's going to be a 13. Yes, the Dead Knight is in this area somewhere. Eventually we are going to find him, or he is going to find us. I think the thing that makes sense here is that Samuel points his saber at this guy and tells him to get out while he still can. He's happy to oblige, and he runs out of the exit there, fearful for his life. Our heroes trek on to the next room. So we're gonna roll what happens when the dungeon die. There's going to be a 1, so nothing actually happens this time. And also we are gonna have to actually roll our room. I forgot about that. So that's going to be a 1 and a 6. So that's going to be this. And that's going to be let's see here, it's a bridge of some kind. Okay, so looks like there's some kind of pit here, and they've constructed some kind of makeshift bridge across it. I'm assuming it's sturdy enough because they have actually been using it and it's quite close to the entrance. But maybe it's not sturdy enough for 3 people to go on at once. I'm gonna ask, are they actually perceptive enough to notice this? Also, I'm going to say that because Samuel has rested, he's able to recover his will die that he burnt. I'm going to use the person with the highest focus, I guess. Here we go. Focus, concentration, to not be distracted and to use firearms. So focus. The person with the highest focus is going to be, well, Samuel and Salazar are kind of tied on that. So we just roll a 2d6 plus the relevant ability score or skill level. In this case, we're just going to roll these 2 dice here, and we're going to add a +2 to it. That is going to be a 7. 7 is going to be a complication. So I think that one of them notices, but I'm going to say that they notice a bit too late. Samuel drops one of his items down. Is it going to be his torches or rations? Let's check. Is it something that uses usage die basically, right? No, it is not. So it's one of his actual items here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's going to be 8 items there. I'm gonna roll. Which item does he lose? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His musket. That's bad. So Samuel notices that it's kind of rickety and 3 people are not supposed to be on there at once. But as he kind of like calls out, it's a bit too late, and they all kind of step onto it at once, and he pushes one of them back. I think it's going to be Salazar's at the back, Gaius is second, and Samuel is first. And I think in the process, he drops his musket down into the pit below, and just on time because the plank was starting to creak a little bit. He watches it fall, and how deep is this pit actually? Does he hear a splash? 50-50 on that. He does hear a splash of some kind. So there's some kind of water below there. Okay. I'm going to erase his musket for his weapon. And unfortunately now he only has his saber. Unlucky for him. So they all breathe a collective sigh of relief. If he hadn't noticed that, they might have all fallen straight down into the fetid water below. I think at this point we're going to actually find an odor here, because we've already established that there's going to be some kind of liquid down below. What kind? Let's see. It's going to be 8. A smoky kind of acidic kind of smell almost, I'd say. So maybe it's some kind of trap here laid by the bandits, and you're only supposed to go one at a time, and they almost fell for it. If they fell in, they would have died. Before we continue any further in, one thing I forgot to do was to determine the room size. Here's how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna roll 2d8 plus 4 rooms. That is going to be the max amount of rooms that they can enter into. But if they find 2 special rooms, that will also do the trick. So it's either 2 special rooms, which they can find just through normal rolling on those tables, or it's going to be, let's see here, 2d8 plus 4. So we're gonna roll that. 2d8 plus 4 is going to be 9. 9 plus 4 is going to be 13. So 13 max rooms. We have already gotten through 2. There we go. We forged through the path ahead, and we are going to roll yet again to see what dangers await us this time. There's going to be a 2 and a 2. That's going to be this kind of room. So I'm gonna I'm gonna say that it leads out to a platform here, and at that platform is some kind of door, and as they step into this room, they find themselves seeing an opening at the far end and a door to their immediate right. Let's see what we get on the dungeon die. 1, nothing. So far so lucky. So this is going to be room 3. I do want to know if there's any other details to this room though. For example, what kind of room is this? Let's see here. Common room. We're gonna say this is their sleeping quarters. So it's a sleeping room. So there's a bunch of beds around, and it's kind of messy, and it's kind of like just makeshift beds, and the rogues are basically using it to lay their heads. I also see here that there is a door table here. So from now on, I'm actually going to also check for doors as well. So I think instead of going towards the door, they are first going to try to go towards the opening towards the end of the room. They're gonna go towards that, and they're gonna find themselves 35. So that's going to be 3 and 5. Okay, I need to alter this a little bit just so it can fit in here. And we'll erase that out a bit. So far, they've been quite lucky. Let's see what happens in this 4th room. Let's roll the dice. There's going to be a 1 again. Okay, so actually they've been rolling nothing on these dungeon die. Well, I'm just going to roll common room again then. They're going to find themselves in, well, a common room. So I guess that would mean that that will be where they basically meet. And there's basically maybe some notes strewn about or something. And maybe it's something where we can glean some sort of information from this room. So let's see, what kind of items are basically strewn around this common room. We're gonna search for some items here, and we're gonna see what we can find. We're gonna roll for items, and we're gonna get some kind of supplies. So we're actually going to go and increase our UD all the way back up to 20. So that's actually really lucky. We basically find maybe a cache of items. We find maybe some torches and maybe some food, and I think Gaius is more consenting about stealing from rogues and bandits, and this has clearly proven to be a den of those kind of people. But we have to roll the dungeon die again because we were searching for something. So what do we get this time? 5. We also find a discovery within this room. So we're gonna roll on the discovery table here, and 1. So it says here special room, but I'm going to say that that's the next room that we enter into. So the next room we enter into is actually a special room of some kind. We're gonna roll the dice, and that's going to be a 53. So it's going to be this. 53. So it's going to be this kind of room. 2 doors on the right, and at the end there's some kind of exit. A special room of some kind. What is this special room? So let's see here. It's going to be 4. It's a residential area. I think that at this point, we've been basically going through what seems to be the living quarters of these rogues and bandits. Since this is the residential area, it makes a lot of sense that one of them would be in here. But the fact that we've encountered none so far, other than the one at the front, makes me think that they are trying to stop the Dead Knight, or they're fighting him, or something else. I'm going to say it's a 50-50 chance whether a rogue is in here or not. Is a rogue inside this room? No! There's a 2. That is quite a big no. It is quite deserted in this particular residential room, where there should be a lot of banter and there should be a lot of raucous laughter maybe. There is nothing. Eerie quiet. I think we're going to forge on ahead, and I think those two rooms to the side look rather interesting to me, at least. I think we're going to try the one at the top here. So we're gonna roll on the door table, see what we get, and that is going to be a 7, it's going to be locked. How about the one below it? It's going to be a 4, it is going to be locked as well. There's definitely something that they're keeping in here. Perhaps some supplies, perhaps some kind of weapon. I don't think it's of particular interest to us yet, but actually maybe it is. Gaius is somebody with a sense of justice. Is he going to want to potentially get whatever's inside those rooms to give them back to the people who own them? Seems a bit naive and foolish, but let's say 50-50. 11. I think he can be convinced otherwise. I think it would be foolish to go into these rooms because it's going to make some noise and we are going to have to roll the dungeon die again. I think Samuel is going to try to convince him not to go in there and not to bash the door down, basically. Yeah, let's try it. So we're gonna roll and see whether Samuel can convince him. I think this is just going to be, I think Samuel is gonna use his will to do this, so that is going to be a hit. That's going to be a 13, that is definitely gonna be a hit. Samuel is able to convince Gaius not to go into that room, and Gaius grumbles his consent, and they continue forwards, but knowing that these rooms probably have some kind of treasure stolen from maybe the commoners around here, or maybe even people from Hillgrab. So we're going to go into the next room here, and we're making some headway into this catacomb that has been repurposed. We're gonna roll that, and we're gonna get a 4 and a 5, which is going to be this kind of room here. So we're gonna say we come around the bend here, and we find ourselves in this kind of room. A very strangely shaped room, something like that. There's a door up here, and there's an open exit over there. Let's roll the dungeon die and see what we find in our 6th room. So far we've been very, very lucky. Let's see what happens. There's going to be 4, another discovery. We have not had any hostile encounters yet. Interesting. So a discovery, let's see here, is going to be 8. So 8 is going to be treasure of some kind. So this is where they actually keep most of their treasure. We're gonna roll for what kind of treasure it is gonna be. So we're gonna roll on that, and we're gonna get 5. It's a potion of some kind. A potion. Maybe there's a bunch of coins as well. Is it just a potion? Or let's say, are there any coins around? No, it is just maybe a few papers of no importance to us. But this is basically the loot that they've gotten. Maybe the coins have been hastily taken away. Maybe they saw the dead knight coming and they had to grab it all and kind of hide around here. Makes me wonder about the guy outside. He knew that the dead knight was in here, right? Maybe he was too cowardly to face the dead knight, but didn't think that the dead knight would be enough of a threat to his comrades, but clearly it was. So we're gonna roll. What kind of potion did we find here? See here, we're gonna go for elixirs. So we're gonna roll a d10 on that. It's gonna be a 2. Bitter Infusion, increase next skill test by +1. I think that we're just going to give that to the party as a whole, so we're just going to put it on Samuel's character sheet. Bitter Infusion +1 to next check. There we go. Okay, that's going to come in pretty useful, I think. I think we're going to continue on to the left, and we're going to see. We're about halfway through the dungeon. Gonna roll on this. We're gonna get 34. That is going to be a dead end. Okay. Our first dead end, like that. And what do we find at this dead end? See here? So we're gonna roll the dungeon die again. At this dead end, we find another discovery. I'm not used to being this lucky, actually. No hostile encounters, and nothing that will give us any sort of friction, which is very good for us so far. We're gonna roll a discovery on that. And that's going to be a 4. That's going to be geologic. So geologic, we're going to roll on this, and that's going to be 1. There's some kind of pool in the center of this. We knew that there's some kind of like acidic water here, so that likely means that there's some kind of dangerous liquid inside this room. Just when I said there was no friction, I think we're going to have to do an agility check. Who's gonna be in front? I did say that Samuel was taking the front charge, so unfortunately, my friend, you're going to have to do an agility check with a +0. Let's see. Oh no, he's gonna miss on that. I think he's going to take some damage here. He's gonna be acidic, he's gonna be burning through his clothing. I think this is a room that the rogues don't go into. I'm gonna say it's a D4. How much damage does he take here? He's gonna take max damage, of course he is. He gets 2 out of d6. He screams in agony as this acid seeps through his boots and into his skin. 2 out of d6 there. I think he's gonna have to rest, but how can he? They're in the middle of this crypt and there's no time to waste. I think they have to keep going, right? But this time, I think we're gonna make it so that Samuel is at the back and Gaius is at the front with Salazar in the middle. That's going to be our future marching order. Oh no. So, we're gonna come back to room 6 here, and we're gonna see what is the dungeon die going to tell us. It's gonna be 2, there's nothing there. We're going to try to enter this door. Let's see here. It's going to be a 6, which means it's locked. At this point, the only door we haven't tested was this door. So I think we're going to try to smash it down. So I'm going to say that Gaius is going to try to smash it down. He's going to try to use his strength for this. If he succeeds, then he's able to get through. We don't have to roll the dungeon die. If it's a complication, he gets through, but we have to roll the dungeon die. If it's a miss, we have to roll the dungeon die, and he doesn't get through. So let's see here. That is going to be 7 plus 3, so that's going to be a 10. He does it, so he's able to use his strength, and with one massive shove, he's able to shove the door open, and they're able to continue through without making too much, or rather not a sustained noise. So we're going to roll for what the next room is, and we're making a lot of progress here. We're making our way into the heart of the crypt or catacomb. That's going to be this kind of room, and that's going to be a secret door of some kind. Okay, let's see here. So they're going to go into this place here, but I don't think they're gonna immediately see that there's some kind of secret door leading upwards. So there's gonna be room 8 and there's gonna be room 9. Let's roll the dungeon die, and we'll also have to make sure to see whether they're able to catch on to the fact that there's a secret door within this room. So it's gonna be a 7, that's gonna be a hostile encounter. A hostile encounter, I think we're gonna roll on here, and we're gonna get a 4. That's a fighting creature. So something is fighting with something else. Oh no. I think we're gonna roll for the first thing that's fighting. Let's see what it is. That's gonna be a 7. It's going to be a giant rat. I'm sorry, a giant flay spider. It's gonna be a giant flay spider fighting whom? That's gonna be a 2. That's the Dead Knight. Okay, the Dead Knight is actually fighting this flay spider. Is there a bunch of other bodies around it? Let me actually see. Like, it's likely that he was killing a bunch of these rogues and a flay spider got a jump on him during this time. Yes, it is. So how many rogues are dead on the ground or dying? 4 of them. So that does mean that the Dead Knight is damaged in some way, right? He's fighting a giant flay spider right now. How much health does the Dead Knight have? He has a rank of 10, armor of 1, menace of 0, and fear of 2. So he's here fighting this flay spider, and I'm assuming that the flay spider is losing. So I'm gonna check. Is the flay spider losing? Likely. Oh, it is about to kill the Dead Knight. We can stand back and let them fight it out, but I think the Dead Knight wanted the treasure for a reason, and he knew where the treasure was for a reason. I think our heroes are gonna know that, and even though they don't want to be killed by the Dead Knight, they are aware that he's useful. They're going to join in the fight to kill the giant flay spider. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say that the giant flay spider is very close to death, and that the Dead Knight is also close to death. So maybe they are both at 4 HP. We're gonna launch an all-out assault against the spider, and since it's currently preoccupied, I'm just going to do an attack of opportunity here. I'm actually going to roll 3 times. So for Gaius, that's going to be 8. He's going to get a complication, which means he's going to deal his saber harm there, and that's going to be a 2. 2 health left. The spider has 2 health left. How about for Salazar? Salazar unfortunately gets a miss. There's a -1 to the next initiative roll, if that even happens. But what about Samuel? That is going to be a complication. Complication would mean more weapon harm. So if they get a 2 or higher, they're able to take out a spider. Of course he gets a 1. Of course he does. The question is, does the Dead Knight finish off the spider? And that's gonna be super likely, right? That's gonna be super likely. If that doesn't happen, the spider is just going to flee. So let's see. Oh my god! The Dead Knight is... Oh my god, the Dead Knight is unable to actually finish off this spider. Interesting. So I think the spider is gonna flee off into this side. And I think at this point, all three of us are going to tackle the Dead Knight. And I'm not even gonna roll for it. He's severely weakened. And we already established that the Dead Knight has some command of the English language. He was able to tell Samuel that he wants his pamphlets back. I think we're gonna be able to tie him up with maybe some equipment that we have. Yeah, I think we're just going to put him in place. One of us has to keep a watch out for the spider. We've already established that they can regain health and they might come back with some health left. I think Salazar is the one who is going to try to interrogate the Dead Knight. I'm gonna say he uses up his agility die here, and he's actually gonna roll 3d6 plus his will of 3. He's definitely gonna make it, I think. That's going to be a 5, that's gonna be 10, 13, 16, he's gonna do it. And I think he's going to try to get some information out of this Dead Knight. Actually, I think we should have used investigation, but nonetheless, we will have passed it. So, the Dead Knight is going to be able to tell us anything we need to know. Well, I have a few questions. So, the first thing I want to know is, where is the treasure? We know it's in here somewhere. There's not that many rooms left. So, actually first, what is the treasure, right? So in order to determine what kind of item this treasure is, we're going to roll on a D88 type and a D88 magical. So we're going to roll for the type first. What is this treasure? 63. That is going to be some kind of rope. I don't think that's kind of weird. I'm going to re-roll that. Let's re-roll that. That's going to be a 40d6. Cup of some kind, okay? Cup. Some kind of magical goblet. That's gonna be 78. Chiming cup. Alright, let's roll for a magical effect of some kind. That's going to be a 13. Well, that's going to be a number modifier, so I'm actually gonna re-roll that. I don't think I want a +3 cup. That's gonna be 38. So, allows the owner to gain an additional set of eyes on the rear of their head. It's a cup of knowledge. The additional eyes... I'm gonna need more information about this. Cup of knowledge that grants the user some additional eyes. I'm gonna roll on the oracles here. 54. That's going to be power. That makes sense. I think I know. So the eyes are kind of more a symbolic thing. It allows the user to attain power because it allows the user the power to kind of read minds. Eyes through the back of the head. Power is a goblet of knowledge. Or rather, it's a goblet that allows you to gain knowledge by reading people's minds. That will be insanely useful. But, oh my god, but the person interrogating him was Salazar. Who stands to gain the most out of this kind of treasure? The rogue, the soldier, or the information broker? I think Salazar is gonna want that for himself. Is Gaius out of earshot when the knight reveals the nature of this treasure? Roll 50-50 on that. No! Absolutely not. He hears it all. I think there's a momentary pause as the Dead Knight explains that this treasure allows the wielder to be able to read minds. And there's kind of like a tension in the air. Gaius looks at Salazar, Salazar looks at Samuel, Samuel looks back at Gaius, and I think Salazar makes a run for it. So he's gonna make a run for it, but he used up his agility already. So I'm gonna see whether he's able to run away from us. We're gonna do a contested roll of sorts. So we're actually gonna roll his agility at... You know what? No, he's gonna use up his focus for this. There's gonna be 2 people, so there's gonna be 3 dice being used on either side. So let's see what happens here. It's gonna be 11. So he gets an 11 on that. We're gonna add our agility 2 and 0. So it's gonna be a 3d6 plus 2. We need to be an 11. So we need to get a 9 or higher in order to get Salazar to not escape. Oh, just barely! So we needed a 9 or higher, we got a 10. Oh my god. Okay, so Gaius and Samuel dive for Salazar and able to just grab him by the legs. And I think they are able to tie him up and place him right beside the Dead Knight. And Salazar is he's not used to this kind of situation where he's at a direct disadvantage. He's kind of like screaming and cursing, and he's like, "Let go of me!" And they've never seen him like this. Um, he's making a lot of noise. Are there any bandits left? I'm gonna say that's really unlikely, right? I think I think the Dead Knight's either chased all of them out or has killed all of them. So I'm gonna say, are there any bandits left? Unlikely. Nope. There's a one. He's killed or driven out every single one except for the one at the post who was unfortunately still thinking that his companions have already taken care of this little pest. What an idiot. Anyway, so yeah, there's not that many rooms left. I think we can just roll up the remaining rooms. Okay, so let's do this. Samuel and Gaius are now going to be traveling together, and they're gonna leave behind Salazar and the Dead Knight for now in room 9. Okay, wow. We're gonna roll for what is in the next room. 74. That's gonna be... Okay, so that's gonna be a pit of some kind. So they find themselves next to this kind of pit, and there's a door at the end. I think they're probably able to get around the pit just by an easy jump. I'm gonna say that they have advantage here, so I'm just gonna roll 3d6 and... Yeah, I'm just gonna roll 3d6 since they do have advantage. Let's say, how much agility does Gaius have? 2. Let's just say the average of that. So it's gonna be 3d6 plus 1. So that's gonna be, yeah, 11. So they're gonna be able to make it. They pass through this section here, and there's only 3 more rooms left. So they're gonna see, is the door locked or is it trapped or whatever? It doesn't matter if it's locked, I think. Is 7. Almost an 8. It was almost trapped. But if it's trapped, they will have a problem. So Gaius is able to eventually smash their way through. We're gonna roll a dungeon die as well, actually. Because even though I said that there's nothing else within here, they still might find a discovery. So we're gonna roll it twice because we came here and then we used the door. So there's gonna be a 7, which is a hostile encounter. I'm gonna overrule that, say there's nothing there. And we're gonna say a 6, which is a passive encounter. Okay, so yeah, let's just roll it, see if it makes sense. There's gonna be a 4, there's gonna be a magical NPC. A magical NPC. A magical NPC. I think as they're jumping across the pit, they, out of the corner of their eye, I think they see something pass. Some sort of ghost, maybe. Is making them feel a bit uneasy. I don't know. It might have been a ghost, it might not have been. It might have just been their mind playing tricks on them. We're gonna continue though. And we're gonna see what do they find in room 11. 22. Okay, so that's going to be... We're running out of space here, so I'm gonna have to kind of make it up a little bit. So we're gonna go like that. Okay, cool. So room 11. So these 2 rooms here are the final rooms left. So I think we're just going to go into this room first. But before that, we have to roll the dungeon die. So what we get? 4. We find a discovery of some kind. What kind of discovery is it? It's a special room. So this would be the special room that we were trying to find. We wanted to find at least 2 special rooms. This will be the area with the treasure. So I'm gonna say it's some kind of let's roll on the special rooms table. It's a 1. It is a shrine. So they see this shrine, and on it is some kind of unassuming looking cup. It doesn't look like anything. It just looks like a regular cup, which makes sense because if it was a golden glowing cup, the bandits would have probably just taken it. But it's just a regular cup. So Samuel picks it up, and I think he looks into it, and there's some kind of liquid inside. What kind of odor does it have? 2. Sweat. It's some kind of sweaty odor. It smells like bodily fluids, like sweat. I don't know. God knows what else. Like, he kind of recalls a bit at it, and he looks at Gaius, and is like, is this it? And I think at that moment, they hear sort of a low chiming sound from it. We did roll chiming cup in the last page. So it's this kind of rhythmic kind of pulsing from it. So who is gonna drink it? I think Samuel and Gaius both want the same thing. Does Gaius trust Samuel enough that he will use the power to kind of avenge his sister? I think he does. However, we have run into some conflict previously about their morals. Samuel wanted to take the hunter's goods. Gaius didn't want to let him. I'm gonna say it's likely that Gaius allow Samuel to drink it. I think he knows that Samuel is a good man at heart. Likely. 4 and 5! Samuel is about to drink from the goblet when Gaius reaches out and grabs the goblet, and they're kind of struggling for it, and Samuel's like, what are you doing? And I think Gaius is like, no, you can't drink that. Nobody can. It's too powerful, it will corrupt you. And Samuel, I think he kind of relents. I think Samuel relents and is like, well, then what do we do with it? Gaius is like, we'll throw it out. Nobody can use it. Nobody will be able to do anything evil with it. Samuel is not a fan of this idea at all. He's flabbergasted. He's like, are you insane? With that, we can actually find proof that it was Vlade and the doctor who caused the plague and bring them to justice. I think this is a very strong argument. No, I think Samuel is gonna have to impose his will here. But Gaius is... I don't think he's super against it. I think he's kind of conflicted as well. So I think we're gonna roll a 3d6 for Gaius, and we're gonna roll a 4d6 for Samuel. So that's going to be strength and focus gone, and Gaius is gonna use his agility. So they're both gonna use their will. So first up is going to be Gaius. He's going to be rolling 3d6. Oh my god, oops. Okay, let's see here. What does he get? That's going to be very high. 11, 14, 14 plus 1, so 15. Alright, how about Samuel? This is going to be, let's see here. That is going to do it. Samuel convinces Gaius, and I think it's a contest of wills, but Gaius, we know that he wants to see his sister avenged, so he relents. Samuel drinks from the goblet. Is this disgusting sludge, and he can feel in the back of his skull 2 things protrude from the back of his skull. They can't be seen through the hair, but when parted over, it can be seen that Samuel has 2 extra eyes. Gaius is unable to see this, but Samuel is now able to read him like an open book. We're gonna figure out what's in the rest of the rooms, just for curiosity's sake. Particular dungeon crawl is over, so we're gonna roll for 12 and 13. We're gonna see what do they find in these rooms. Just gonna roll dungeon die, and if it's encounter, we're just not gonna use it. So it's gonna be a 5 discovery. What kind? 7 a clue of some kind. 2 a note. We find a note of some kind, and it was probably left by the previous owners of the catacomb. So what is the note regarding? It's gonna be a 1 and 3. Orbit. That image almost looks like a hole with some kind of liquid pouring out of it. I think it does warn that the treasure is too much for most people, and that perhaps it wasn't meant to be. Perhaps it should have been destroyed. But now Samuel's drunk it, so we'll see how that goes. As for the dungeon die for 13, that's gonna be it. There's gonna be a hostile encounter. We're just gonna reroll that. 4, there's gonna be another discovery. There's gonna be 3, special room. So there's some other special room in 13, and it's gonna be 3. It's gonna be a prison. Is there somebody held captive here? It's likely it is a prison. Yes, there is somebody held captive here. So we find ourselves face to face with some kind of prisoner. Well, are they dead? They've probably been here a while. Are they dead? 50-50. Well, yeah, they're dead. Okay, I want to know though, like, is there anything on them that we can find that perhaps is of use to us? We're gonna roll on the treasure for that, I think. 8. We find some kind of gems. So, we have come to the end of our dungeon crawl here. The gems can probably be traded in for a lot of money, but more importantly, Samuel has found an immense power. I have one more question. As they come back to room number 9, where they left the Dead Knight and Salazar, are they still there? 50-50. Given how things are going, given how both of them are very wily and very powerful in their own right, 50-50. Are they still there? That is going to be a 6. No, they are not. Oh boy. Well, that was one hell of a session. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Salazar and the Dead Knight have both escaped, or are, for some reason, no longer there. And Samuel has gotten this immense power to be able to read people's minds. And I have no idea what's going to happen next, but I guess we'll find out next time. Thank you again for watching.